Go bear these tidings to great Lucifer. Seeing Faustus hath incurred eternal death by desperate thoughts against Jove's deity, say he surrenders up to him his soul, so he will spare him 24 years, letting him live in all voluptuousness, having thee ever to attend on me, to give me whatsoever I shall ask, to tell me whatsoever I demand, to slain mine enemies and to aid my friends, and always be obedient to my will.
Books. Books. Books.
Hello and welcome to Didn't Read It, the podcast that hasn't had a soul since last summer. I am your host, Grace Todd, writer, editor, and lover of plays. And with me today are two very special guests. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Hi.
Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hi, my name is James Ricks, and I'm the artistic director for Richmond Shakespeare.
I'm Landon Nagel, and working with James on Dr. Faustus, playing Dr. Faustus.
The titular Faustus.
The titular Faustus.
This is a very special episode because we are doing a callback to one of our first episodes, which I reposted earlier this week. If anyone needs a refresher, you can pause, go back. I've edited it into one giant marathon. You can learn everything there is to know about Faustus and Marlowe before you come back here, because we are, as I said, talking about Christopher Marlowe's Tragical History of Dr. Faustus. And the reason that we are doing this episode specifically is because Richmond Shakespeare, a company I have long admired and who are celebrating their 25th season, are putting on a production of Faustus, which debuts in 1 week. Go get your tickets if you are in town. There will be a link in the show notes, and we'll be posting about it on Instagram, probably non-stop. But I personally am very excited because, as I said in the original episodes, I have never actually seen Faustus on stage. Now, I love the theater, love going to plays, but I don't know shit about theater. I am not an actor or a director, so I thought we would do something a little different and have James and Landon come talk about the process of taking Marlowe's work off the page and actually directing and performing it for a modern audience. So, guys.
Yeah,
How's it going?
it's going.
It's going. We're knee deep in it, waist deep, perhaps.
Absolutely.
At this point,
It's getting hot.
it's getting hot in there.
It's getting hot.
Getting spicy?
Yeah, I mean, we spent a lot of the first week just sort of unpacking the text and trying to fill in all the gaps that that exist in the script. I mean, this is pretty early theater, and Marlowe was a very young man. And while, you know, the show was wildly popular when it was first performed, it's hard to not speculate and feel like it was written rather hastily, adapted from the tragical history of the damnable Dr. Faustus, I guess, was the first English translation. And there's a lot of things that we have to figure out. Our modern sensibilities have a hard time connecting some of the dots, dramatically speaking. But it's starting to reveal itself to us, and we're having a really good time. It's a lot of fun. It's
Yeah.
a crazy, crazy play.
I mean, it's very, what we have is very fragmentary.
Right.
And in the original episodes, I focused mostly on the A text, because I think that's the one that's kind of closer to what Marlowe would have done, and the B text obviously has had stuff added to it.
That's right.
But that being said, the B text is a more complete actual play. So
Yeah.
are you doing the B text? Are you doing the A text? How did you make those decisions, and what have you wound up with?
The A text is pretty lean. It's a short little show, and so we took some of the B text. It's a conflation of the two texts just to help pad those bones with a little more meat. It offers up some new characters that are not in the A text, which is a little more fun. It's a more robust piece than just the A text on itself. I always feel like when I finish reading the A text, I sort of I'll close the book and I'll go, huh. what we've come up with, I think, is a good solution to that leanness. Yeah.
Now, how much Pope bullying are we doing? Like a lot, a little?
We're actually just been staging that just this week. We're going to be getting into that a little bit more. We've got the banquet scene. We're going to be doing some swatting the Pope over the head with a foam baguette.
Yes.
Or something like that.
Yeah, we're going to hit him with as many things as possible.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or steal as many things as possible from
Right.
him and, use his bathroom.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you personally excited to bully the Pope as Faustus?
Sure, I guess. I mean, I don't know what to say to that. That's a loaded question, but
Am I trying to bait the two of you into being heretical? Maybe a little.
yeah, well, I guess he's got this power and this is what he chooses to do with it, or it's what I choose to do with it. And, it's not anything I would do today, right? If I could do what I wanted,
You'd like it on record that
not-
you would not personally go bully the Pope. Okay.
I wouldn't do that because I just don't really know him. It would be somebody I knew.
But we think we have a pretty good idea of what Marlowe thought about religion
Yeah.
based on this show.
So, do you guys feel like you need to put in extra work to help contemporary audiences kind of wrap their head around the language? Like, when you sit down and read it, you have all the time in the world. You can kind of parse through, you can reread things. But when people are keeping up with it on the stage as it's going, how do you make it so that people can parse it in real time and keep up with what's happening, even if they aren't 100% grasping every word that goes rattling by?
That's the question.
That's the question, and that's what we work at every day. Storytelling, and one of the things James keeps helping me with is, hey, slow that down, let the audience stay with you. There's an emotional journey that happens so quickly in so few words, and some of those words are dense.
Yeah.
So what you do is you try to find an action, I guess, that is about your partner. If I'm challenging Mephistopheles, begging Mephistopheles, or pleading, right, then the audience can feel that.
Right. The emotional context makes it.
Right. Or the physical context, right? I'm on my knees, and so that's what it really, it's all about is, showing a picture. You should be able to watch an opera in a different language and through the picture at least understand the relationship of the storytelling. And that's my job, and that's our job, is to, tell the story and hopefully, I went to Much Ado About Nothing, and I had never seen it.
That was a great production.
It was great. It was my first time to Agecroft, was 3 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
That's funny.
Yeah. Embarrassingly. I had not been to Agecroft yet. And, got to figure out what the heat's going to be like. And
yeah, it's going to be toasty.
But
Will you be
anyway.
under many layers of doublets and woolens and...
this is one thing that has not been revealed to me yet. Hopefully I have
We're going to spring it on you at the last minute.
Ooh, okay.
I can't wait to see it.
The less you know, the better, perhaps.
Probably.
No.
Yeah.
But probably not board shorts and a nice pair of flip-flops.
We'll do what we try to do what we can to make sure the actors are comfortable, especially in the 2nd July slot where the weather is pretty unforgiving.
Yeah, it gets toasty.
I mean,
after dark.
this play has some physical stuff, but a lot of, one of the things that I say is the language is the action.
Yeah.
And, we sort of remind the actors at the beginning of the process. The root of the word audience is from the Latin, right? Audire, auditory. You go to hear a play. All of the references to theater in early drama are about going and hearing a play. And that's something we take pretty seriously at Richmond Shakespeare. We make sure that we're just giving as much specificity to the language as possible. But as Landon was saying, I mean, we try to have fun with it and physicalize as much as we are able to. And that's part of the challenge.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that I've noticed seeing specifically, mostly Shakespeare over the years, is it tends to be acted very big. And that's kind of how you keep up sometimes is,
Right.
You make an Elizabethan dick joke and then the actor waves his dick around a little bit and you're like, right, yes,
Right.
I get it. That's a reference to a dick.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
Exactly how we do it. I understand those parts, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
I can pick that up.
This is very popular with the teenage crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people only ever change but so much.
Right.
But so you've been immersed in Shakespeare for a long time now.
Yeah.
Did it feel like it was changing gears in a serious way to hop over to Marlowe for a little while? Like, does Shakespeare feel like an old buddy at this point?
Yeah, kind of. It's different. It's definitely different. Marlowe is definitely no Shakespeare. But there is, as with all Marlowe, this kind of youthful irreverence. I mean, he is an iconoclast and probably a bit of an anarchist in his own right. And that's kind of fun. I mean, the way he deals with subjects like religion and sexuality, politics. I mean, it's clear what his political leanings are. So, you know, the verse is very, very, very dense. He's kind of the guy who made blank verse or iambic pentameter popular. I mean, he's really the one who sort of set that trend. Shakespeare was doing it alongside, but Marlowe was sort of the more popular playwright at this time, or the year that it was first produced.
Marlowe's like one of the original, like, live fast, die young, leave a beautiful corpse with a knife in its eye.
Yeah.
He was a bad boy.
Yeah, he was.
He was very naughty, and he got in a lot of trouble for it at the end.
Yeah.
If he hadn't died, he probably would have wound up on trial. I mean, he was going to wind up on trial, and who knows how that would have ended. But
that's right.
He's definitely, you know, he's an edgy, would have been a polarizing figure.
Yeah.
Especially if he'd survived.
Yeah. Well, at least he squeezed out a couple plays.
Yeah.
Before he kicked it.
Before he got into that bar fight or not.
Yeah.
But sort of speaking of the archaic language for a second, and this is just purely to sow dissent, what do you two think about modernized language adaptations of Shakespeare, of Marlowe, like of older stuff? Where do you land on this? Yay or nay?
I'm a nay. I'm a nay myself. Like I said, we had a professor at grad school who was famous for saying, "Well, you don't go to opera for the stories. You know, you're going to hear this music." And I think there's the parallel is with this language. I mean, Shakespeare's language is what's so special, or Marlowe's language. I mean, Juliet doesn't say, "God, I really wish my boyfriend. I wish he'd hurry up and get here." She says, "Gallop apace, you fiery-footed steeds," you know, and paints a picture with this language. And it's a shame to cut that loose just for comprehension. I think that language has taken a back seat in Western culture, you know, in the last, let's say, 15 to 20 years, as technology gets increasingly more advanced. You know, we're not attuned to listening or hearing language in the way that we used to. And that's a shame, I think.
Yeah.
We're so into, you know, soundbite information and images and things that are sort of just fast and you get an instant gratification from, and rather than sitting and savoring the sound, the rhythm, the color of language. And that's what's special about classical theater for me.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, there's so many little emotional cues, too. Like, I know in Shakespeare, when you switch between blank verse and rhyming verse, that has emotional significance, right? Mm-hmm. That's telling you something about emotions that are happening on the stage. There's sometimes, you know, you're slipping between formal and informal, or you're switching between a sort of interior monologue and like, those are all cues, and they're all woven into the shape of the language itself.
That's right. There were no directors, really, in Shakespeare's time, so it sort of fell to the playwright to give all of the information through the text. Like what you're saying, you know, the use of certain pronouns, thee, thou versus you, your. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for a monosyllabic line. There's a reason for, as you say, switching from verse to prose and couplets to blank verse. It all offers context, relationship, rhythm, all the cues that actors need to develop their character and establish the rhythm of a scene or a relationship.
Are there any little quirks of language in Faustus that you're particularly fond of? Anything that you're like, oh, I love those words and the way they happen?
He definitely has a few lines that pop out for me. I mean, some of his turns of phrase are very, very interesting. I think Faustus has some line about the moon's itchy breath.
Oh, now that the
the sky, how's the line go? I can't remember.
Now that the gloomy shadow of the night longing to view Orion's drizzling look, leaps from the Antarctic world unto the sky, and dims the welkin with her itchy breath. Faustus, begin thine incantations.
Dims the welkin
Welkin.
with her
Yeah.
itchy breath. I just think that's
Oof.
so cool.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
4 lines to say, now that it's dark enough.
But it's not just that it's dark enough, right?
No,
It's
the Orion star, but, we might not
Yeah.
say all of them.
it's spookily dark so that you can
Yes,
summon
it's-
the
it's-
devil.
It's time for conjuring. It's the right weather for conjuring, I guess, is exactly what we're looking for. Or what he's... Yeah, there's no subtext, is what I've heard in some classes. It's
That's
just-
right. There's no subtext.
all there.
Everybody says what
Everything
everybody
they're
says what they
thinking,
mean.
feeling, yeah.
There's employment of irony and lies, but not a lot of subtext. Yeah.
So my question for you, I mean for both of you, but especially you as the actors, so how do you relate to Faustus? Are there any contemporary figures that you're drawing on as you kind of shape him? Like,
That's a interesting question. So last night after rehearsal, I've been challenged. There's a couple actors in the show, and Beelzebub and Mephistopheles. They wanted to play ping pong, right? Mm-hmm. Or I wanted to play them in ping pong. In fact, I don't really talk smack when it comes to sports, but I'm pretty good at ping pong. In fact, I go so far to say is I'm really good at ping pong.
did
And
you
I
make
was
any
like-
Faustian bargains for this ping pong skill, or?
Well, what the idea
Go
was,
on.
like, I was like, I tell you what, I'm going to beat both of you at ping pong, and then I'm going to go home. Who wants to lose first, And I kind of talked myself, I was really laying it on. And then when it came down to going down to the ping pong table, right? When it came down to going down to the ping pong table, I was like, oh man, I really hope I win now. Like I've really got myself into a mess. And so it was a moment I was like, oh, this is this great substitution for how fast some of these like points of contact in Faustus' emotional journey in the play have to go. You say, oh, I cursed this, and then the next moment you're like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. So these are the places where I can say I don't have to do work, right? Like,
Yeah.
have you ever done anything and then automatically regretted it?
Who hasn't? Like,
Exactly.
literally.
So that's where I can relate to Faustus' experience. Also, I'm not sure of a heaven, but I'm pretty damn certain there's really not a hell. That doesn't like calculate to me.
Sure.
I don't know what an afterlife is, but never in my wildest dreams would I imagine that it could be like fire and brimstone. And that I can relate with. I don't have to do a whole lot of work there when Faustus is arguing that point.
Right.
So there's that, and then there's trying to think of like, I'm an actor. I don't have any power. I don't have any wealth. I don't. So to try to put myself in that kind of status and shoes is probably the work that needs to be done over the next week and a half, and not forget that this guy was already a pretty big deal, and now he's going out and hanging out with like rock stars. I said earlier something about this would be likened to like who do you want to meet? You can go meet him.
Right.
Living or dead.
Yeah.
You ever like, okay, living or dead, who would you like to have a cup of coffee with? Well, Faustus gets to do all those things. It's trying to find the substitutions for the things I want to be feeling when it comes to like being in front of this emperor, being in front of this pope,
Right.
right? And so that's the glove I need to put on next, I think, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, totally.
I'm trying to figure it out, and it was helpful when James was like, well, think of it, he's basically an Elon Musk or a Bezos or, somebody that, has all the money in the world. The next step would be doing something supernatural
Yeah.
in terms of power.
I mean, that's an interesting, it's funny because I have always thought of him as being like one of those kind of venture capitalist. Faustus to me is like a Sam Bankman-Fried or like an Elon Musk, not just in like hitting kind of the limits of what you can accomplish and then having to go into the supernatural, but also overextending yourself and realizing at the end of the day that maybe you don't have what it takes to bear out the powers that you've taken for yourself,
Well, I think when we think about the play, we tend to compare it to other morality plays, which it's sort of based on historically, but we don't think in terms of the civic responsibility component of it. When you have access to, say, infinite power or infinite knowledge, what do you do with it? Do you serve your fellow man, or do you go and live a hedonistic, Epicurean, sexual rock and roll fantasy for yourself and fritter away time and your responsibility to your community, say. So, and that's what Marlowe, I think, digs in deep to, and the fallacy of man being, his hubris and his selfishness and his desire for feeding the ego monster, and not, taking care of what's right in the world and serving your fellow man.
Well, I mean, there's such a gap there, too, between the thing that always sticks with me is that the things that he promises himself he's going to do early in the play, when he's gearing up to barter for these powers, he has these really kind of soaring ideas of more they're more noble. And then the things he actually does are so far apart from those early promises. And I think that that's a thing that a lot of, forgive me, but like men in power do when they are early in their careers. They start out very kind of idealistic, and then it's a couple concessions at a time, right? Well, I'll just, I'll do this thing to get the power, but once I have the power, I'm definitely going to use it correctly. I am going to be like a good dude. I'll be the exception to the rule.
Right.
And then your 24 years have passed and your soul's due.
Yeah. And like a true academic who's been isolated for God knows how long, buried in books and coming up with, medicinal cures and whatnot, he gets this power and then summons a fictitious female. I feel like we were joking about this the other day in rehearsal, like a modern nerd, a modern academic would, summon Sailor Moon or some Japan-May fantasy. Faustus summons Helen of Troy and goes off and like this fictitious female that doesn't, I just think that's funny.
This is starting to feel like academic slander, and I'm a little wounded because I definitely would not be summoning any hot ladies out of literature if I had that power. Didn't have to come here and wound me like this.
Who would you summon?
Yeah.
Oh, God. It's that thing where someone asks you what bands you listen to, and you're like, I've never heard music in my entire life. I'm like, I've never read a book
Right.
once. I mean, Helen of Troy, Faustus does make her sound pretty hot, even though she's not real. I feel like some of Austen's heroines would be not just good in bed, but like clever and good in bed. Mm-hmm. I mean, really, if you're going women, the thing is, any book written by a man, the women are just kind of impossible and beautiful and one-dimensional. And as long as you're not looking for much in the way of conversation, just grab anybody. They'll be great.
No one's going to summon Mary Wollstonecraft. I don't know. Maybe they would.
Maybe. I mean,
I don't know. I will say from one of the back episodes in Rebecca West's The Return of the Soldier, Kitty seems like she would be just such a grade A dramatic bitch, but so fun to have around. I want to see how she would react to living in a world with brunch. I think she'd enjoy it, and she'd probably be a lot of fun.
she lives in a world without brunch.
She
in the
does.
Soldier's Journey.
She lives in World War I era England on an estate where she's busy throwing temper tantrums because her husband doesn't love her.
Oh, she's the one for you.
How about you? Who would you pull out of the world of literature?
Literature? I
Or
probably know.
films,
Films, okay.
Like who's the person that would get you to sell your soul to the devil?
I wouldn't mind seeing what the big deal about Cleopatra was. I mean, she was at least real.
True.
I think I'd be interested. And I know that she was, Macedonian Greek and I guess considered beautiful largely because of her personality and her, I guess, command over people, men especially. But she wasn't like a stunning beauty. She was kind of a bit of a Streisand.
Yeah,
Sure.
They were very insulting about her, but she must have been just riveting in person. She must have been incredibly charismatic.
Yeah, I think I'd check out Cleopatra.
Yeah, I was thinking like Catwoman.
Okay.
Like Michelle Pfeiffer.
I was going to say which Catwoman, because this is very...
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah.
Michelle Pfeiffer, yeah.
Absolutely.
That's fair.
Pfeiffer. Interesting. Learning a lot about you today.
Or maybe one of those avatars, like those big, tall.
Yeah.
Like I'm into cats today or something.
Yeah.
Just dancing like right up to the edge of furry status. I like it. It's
Yeah,
good.
pretty much at this moment.
You're like, those pointy ears and tails, it just gets me going. I don't know. Good. Great.
This is good content.
I'm going to clip just that. And no.
Really hoping to summon Catwoman. Cleopatra. Good answer. He's got a lot of good answers. But yeah, isn't it the road to hell is paved with best intentions? Mm-hmm. Back to like what we were talking about when Faustus is saying, oh, I'll, fill the public schools with silk.
Yeah.
And then ends up not.
No,
Right.
I don't think his school gets anything out of the deal.
No.
Typical.
Not a new theater or a new gym or anything.
Typical alum.
Yeah.
Never donates.
No, it does. Yeah.
Gets rich and famous.
Yeah.
There's some Cambridge equivalent of an undergrad penning him letters being like, Dear Dr. Faustus, as you may remember, Cambridge helped you get your education. Would you consider donating today for Alumnus Weekend?
Written by Wagner.
Yeah.
Let's talk more about the production itself. I know that I only have the two of you in the room, but I know that this is not a two-man show.
No, not at all.
No.
It's big.
It's very big.
It's big.
Fill me in. The cast, the staging. What's going on? What you doing?
We have 14 local professional actors. Well, one out of town. 13 local, one out of towner. We have 3 professional dancers. We've got Star Foster from Star Foster Dance doing the choreography. And she's incredible. I don't know if you've seen any of her work around town, but she's one of my favorite choreographers ever. And she's just great. She brings a lot to the production. We've got original compositions from a young composer named Kate Stadelman, who's worked with us on a couple of shows. She's composed an original score music for violin, cello, and percussion.
Ooh.
We'll have live musicians on the stage during the performance. We've got a really terrific lighting designer, local designer named Greta Daughtry, who is going to help us flex some magical stagecraft and give us a good show, pulling off all of that fantastical stagecraft. We have puppets. We've taken some puppets from our friends at All the Saints Theater Company. Lily Lamberta, who has made some really cool puppets over the years, has loaned us a few of her stock. We've got some puppets from Bright Point Community College.
Yes.
Those are really special. We've got a couple of really cool dragons that we're going to be using from Bright Point.
For when Faustus and Mephistopheles go on their first date.
Yep.
Yeah,
They
good.
go out riding dragons.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. We've got a really cool scenic designer named Lindsay Kelly. She's a professor from JMU who's been coming over and helping us out. That's really cool. That's very special. We don't usually have a lot of scenic design in the Agecroft space. The museum likes to sort of maintain the historical integrity of the building, but they're letting us do a little bit more scenically in the courtyard this year, which is really cool. We have an amazing costume designer, Cora Delbridge, who is an artistic associate with Richmond Shakespeare. She's done a lot of amazing designs for us, and this job is no small feat. There are like 60 characters or so.
I was going to say, many of the 13, 14 actors are playing.
That's right.
2 to 3, if
Yeah.
not 4 roles.
Yeah,
or-
I think, 3 roles, I think.
I don't even feel like there are that many people in the play, but I guess they add up.
Oh, there are a lot. And then we have these dancers who kind of come in and flesh out the spiritual world, sort of being little demon dancers.
Okay, that makes. I was going to ask about the choreography. I was like,
Yeah.
where are the dance numbers
Yeah.
coming in? But
Oh, yeah.
hell's a great place for a dance number.
Yes, it is. And, to what we were saying before, I mean, the script is kind of lean. And I think, the history of this show and performance has often sort of amounted to like a variety/magic show.
Spectacle.
And paring away a lot of the language, so it's more of kind of a greatest hits of Dr. Faustus with magic. We'll be doing a little bit of magic as well. We have to sort of do our best to create this world, and if you go halfway, it just doesn't work. So that's the intent behind this production, is making it as exciting a theatrical experience as we can possibly pull off.
And so, like, what's the overall aesthetic vibe? What are we going? Is it glamorous? Is it spooky? Is it, give me a mood board. What's the Pinterest approximation here?
The Pinterest approximation. That's been something that has been hard. That's kind of a moving target.
Fair.
Because there are so many elements to the show. I'd say all of the above, but from a visual standpoint, I mean, I don't know that we necessarily have one kind of guiding light to sort of connect to. I think it's a lot of different artists bringing their artistry together and just trying not to clash with one another. We're trying to complement one another. We are trying to do an original practices, so you're not going to see people coming out in, modern dress or anything, but there will be some, creative license working within the realm of a sort of a more original practices design. But, again, this isn't realism, so
Sure.
Everything's on the table.
For those of us who might not know, when you say original practices, can you elaborate on that just a little bit?
Yeah, original practices are original Elizabethan staging practices, the ribbons coming out for blood and all of that stuff. We do some stuff like that.
But none of the women are being played by 13-year-old boys with coconuts.
No, we have some men playing women.
Good.
More than
And some women playing men.
Yeah.
It's all over the place.
But I don't think we have any 13-year-old boys.
No, we have some. We will have some of our Festival Young Company teenagers
Oh, yay.
working on the show, filling in supporting roles, which is really cool.
Nice.
They get to have an experience working with professional actors and see what it's like to be a part of a company.
Do you want to talk a little bit more about that program real quick, just because we happened to touch on it?
Yeah, our Festival Young Company, or FYC, we do every year. It's a 10-week sort of summer Shakespeare camp, really, for theater kids that want to try something a little different, a little more robust, geared towards learning about Elizabethan language, Shakespeare's text, stage combat. We do scene work with them. We teach them monologues. We sing songs. We, play improv games. We do all kinds of things. And then when the festival finally rolls around, those young actors wander around the grounds and they perform for patrons while they're having their picnics around Agecroft's beautiful estate. Sometimes they'll do a pre-show on the stage just before the show starts. We're not going to do that this year, but they are going to be wandering around and entertaining picnickers. And then we offer, for kids that are interested, we give them an opportunity to audition for one of the main stage shows doing supporting roles, so they get a little bit more. And that means, they need to be there for every rehearsal and every performance and start to get a feel for what it's like to be committed to a professional theater project, which is pretty valuable, I think.
Yeah.
But it's a special kind of kid that goes to Shakespeare camp. It's awesome. I mean, it really is incredible. These students are just, I think that students that are interested in that have a sense for language. They have an ear for it, and they just eat it up. It's really cool.
That's great.
I wish I had something like that when I was a kid. I had to go to soccer camp every year.
Boo.
Which I love, but, Shakespeare camp would have been cool, too.
Yeah, I went to field hockey camp just one time, and everyone made fun of me because I was wearing all black every day, and it was not an experience I repeated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, I was that 8th
You
grader.
were that girl.
I was.
I remember you.
Oh, God, I
remember
know.
you.
It's terrible. Now, you do or don't teach the children necromancy. Is that in the curriculum, or?
Some light spells, nothing damaging. It's all very...
Seems like you could summon some really fun spirits in and around Agecroft, assuming that ghosts... is there a transitive property? Do the ghosts come with the building from the old country, or do you think...
That's a good question.
I
don't know. Are they in the beams or the windows? I don't know.
Definitely in the windows.
They might be in the windows.
They're in the windows.
The windows, the glass from... The glass windows at Agecroft are the original windows from the, 16th century.
Yeah, they were floated up on a
in
barge.
Lancashire. Yeah, it's crazy. The history of that building is tremendous. If you haven't taken a tour, highly recommend. It's very, very cool.
It's a great spot. And probably haunt. Now, are you aware that there are persistent rumors through the centuries of spooky happenings around stagings of Faustus?
Yeah.
Nothing dangerous, thankfully, but things like the actors getting on stage and realizing there's one devil too many. And
Right.
the devil himself apparently shows up sometimes? Question mark.
Right. Some 19th century production where some actor died.
Oh no, I didn't mean to.
Or something like that. I can't remember. Yeah, there's a bunch of really funny, weird stories. I mean, theater people are pretty superstitious, I would say. So
Right.
I'm not horribly surprised to learn about that, but
Put out some blood and cookies for Satan before the production starts, just in
That's a
case
nice
he
idea.
drops by.
Sure.
I don't know. Do you want to get in good with
I mean-
Satan? I mean, I don't know.
At least for the duration of the play, maybe.
Yeah, that's true.
He is in it. Like, the last thing you want is him rolling up and asking for like residuals because he's been, he's been portrayed without his permission.
See, that's not gonna happen. See, this is why I'm playing Faustus. Anybody summoning and doing these things, like I'm gonna do this over and over and over again.
Right.
I'm gonna summon. I mean,
I was thinking about this on the way. I was driving around the other day, and I feel like we missed an opportunity. And I wanted to do it this week, is sit down and have a conversation with the cast of, where is everybody in the cast on their stance on God and the afterlife and death and what their belief systems are.
that could
It'd be good to know that.
Yeah, it'd be good to know that, but we should have them write it down, maybe.
Maybe you think that's too personal?
No, I just think it'd turn into a whole long conversation that we don't really have time for.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. Be interesting though.
Oh yeah, I mean, you could just
Maybe after at the pub. after rehearsal,
afterwards
we'll
at
have
a
to talk
cast
about it,
party,
yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
That's what's interesting is I am summoning some power, some devil, each and every day, and also learning it over and over and over again. Faustus damned, damned Faustus,
Yeah.
accursed soul. Right? These are the words that are going through my head.
Well, and, the eternal question, was he damned to begin with? Are you damned to begin with? Are any of us damned to begin
I
with?
think we're damned if we do, damned if we don't. Right?
Fair enough. Yeah.
So you're
But,
you're a Calvinist, is that it?
Yeah, or
All
a
right.
realist. Whereas, the first couple weeks this is not in my wheelhouse. Like, I didn't go to Shakespeare camp. I went to Spark. I learned musicals that other kids already knew.
What's Spark?
Spark is a school of performing arts in the Richmond community. It's been around since 90s or late 80s.
I think the 80s.
Mid 80s.
Yeah.
You'd get to do a musical. So I did. My first one was Camelot, and Joe Pabst, our good angel's husband, Deborah Wagner's husband, was King Arthur, and I was a knight of the Round Table. And I did that every summer. But so anyway, I'm saying,
funny.
the first couple of weeks I was like, oh man, wrapping my head around this, and there's moments in the show where you're like, oh gosh, you want to hide a little bit. You're
Yeah.
not comfortable yet. I'm excited. I guess this is a long-winded way of saying I'm really excited for this. My son's going to be there opening night.
Yay.
He's 9. He's helped me get off book. But he won't say hell and he won't say damn. And he won't say it. And
What a
so
good
he
boy.
reads for Mephistopheles and he'll be like, I'll be like, where are you damned? And he'll be like, in blank. And then I'll say, well, how comes it that thou art out of blank? He says,
That's so
this
funny.
is blank. And,
Why, this is heck and I am in it.
no, he won't even say that because he knows what it stands
Oh.
for. It's just,
Wow.
he's amazing. Yeah, he's my hero, man.
Oh,
That's
great.
really cool.
Yeah, so anyway, but he'll come opening night because it's 4th of July. And we opened 4th of July.
Yeah.
So there'll be fireworks going off all around us. And it's going to be so cool.
It's going to be like a war zone out there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to be there just a couple nights later. I think I have tickets on the 6th. So
Oh,
I
cool.
will,
Okay.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
Woo!
Right on. Some people are going to come dressed up.
Oh.
Dressed up.
Yeah, there were some people that were at Much Ado, and I started talking with them, and they were all excited because they were going to get all dressed up in their
Devilish.
their devil gear, I guess. Or
Yeah,
angels and
Halloween-type
like this is like a
costume,
Rocky
sure.
Horror Show or
Yeah.
something.
Should we have a
Kinky.
line where...
I'm like, great.
Should we have a line where they finish it? What is it?
That's a funny idea. We
Like in
should-
Rocky Horror, there's
Oh
like...
yeah, get them like audience
Yeah.
participation.
Protein
Yeah,
shake, and
yeah.
it's like I can't. I went once. I saw it at a opening night, and everybody was in the thing, and they knew all the stuff to say. I don't know all the
Right.
stuff to say.
Oh.
But-
That's funny.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
dress up as what's her face from Bedazzled, just full cat suit, giant heels.
Cat suit.
Devil
I guess,
horns.
I guess that's what's
Yeah.
Oh, from the remake of
Sure.
Bedazzled?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Elizabeth Hurley.
Yeah, there we
yeah,
go.
yeah.
Yeah, I could summon her here right now.
There we go.
Just thinking
Did you ever
about
see
that.
the original one?
I don't think I
You
have.
should find it. It's very Peter Cook and Dudley Moore.
I'm halfway through it, or like
It's crazy.
2/3 of the way through.
I mean, it's
it.
totally weird.
Yeah, it's so
The
great,
new one
though.
is fun. I mean, I like Brendan
Yeah.
Fraser. He's very funny. But the
Yeah.
original with Cook and Moore is insane.
Yeah. Great for Mephistopheles.
Have either of you watched the really, really bad Richard Burton?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
No, I haven't. I've heard tell, and I won't watch. I won't
it's
watch.
fucking baffling.
It really is quite something. It's really, really hard to sit through.
Yeah, the only time I watched when I played the Music Man, I just did my best Robert Preston because I don't know if you can do anything but
But how?
you know. But I won't watch. I listened to the text. Like I found the book on like the story. So it really they weren't like professional actors. There were people who, I mean, some of the voices on these cats were crazy. But like Faustus had some chops, and I could at least hear the text.
Yeah.
So that's but I haven't watched any stage version of it.
All right.
I think my mom might. She's like, I found out that I can rent this.
Yeah.
She wants to probably rent it so she knows what's happening when she sees the show.
Well, that's you can send her our Faustus episodes. We'll get her all caught up, and then she'll be ready to watch it, and,
Oh,
and
yeah.
she'll know.
Yeah. One night
She'll
texted
be
me,
well
she's like,
versed.
don't make any more deals with the devil. I've been reading about Faustus. I was like,
You're like-
okay,
You're like, Mom, I've been doing that
Every day.
It's fine.
it's cool. Don't worry about it.
You're like, Mom, I wake up and make a deal with the devil every day. It's
I
called
suppose
living
so.
under late stage capitalism.
Yeah.
It's already happening. I'm sorry. I have an Amazon Prime account.
I don't have an Amazon Prime
I
account.
don't either.
Good for you, both of you. But, if it's not that, it's something else, right?
Sure.
Well, last question for our dear listeners out there. Make your case. Why are we going to see Faustus?
You want to come see this show because you will never see anything like it. It is such an unusual piece of theater, and because of that, I mean, it's unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen next. People sort of have a peripheral understanding of the Faustian story, but nobody knows the play really. And it's just so strange. The characters are the actors are just jumping into the deep end with their characters. So we've got some amazing performances, and we've got all of this really cool stagecraft that, we don't get to do often. We're pulling out all the stops and gonna have a lot of fun with it. So, and it's not terribly long. It's a short night. I think it's gonna clock in at around 2 hours with an intermission. We've got food and beverage out there. Garden Grove Brewery is out there. We've got some food vendors coming in. We've got ice cream. I mean, it's just a beautiful night of theater out at a beautiful, beautiful place in Richmond, Agecroft Hall and Gardens, which a lot of people don't even know about. And that's such a shame because it really is quite a remarkable place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how else is better to say it, And it is. We are on fire, right? It's getting hotter out here, and it's a volatile time. And so to come watch a story of, great stakes, because I think that's what's relevant about this. I think James has always wanted to do this show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I've been
but
wanting to do it for years, yeah.
I think it comes at a moment of, like...
We could all use a little escape
Yeah,
now.
because
Yeah.
I think this is escapism.
Escapism, and also like it's relevant too. Like
Yeah.
You'll resonate with it, and you'll have some fun with it, and hopefully go home and have more gratitude. That
Yeah.
and maybe make a different decision. Who knows? I mean, but or not or
Where escapism meets catharsis.
right. I mean, that's what it all is.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason to go to the theater.
Yeah.
Especially, yeah.
I mean, whomst among us can say that we have, total certainty about the state of the universe all day, every day? And I don't know. To me, that's one of the most sympathetic things about it all is spending the whole play being like, I don't know. What if I was wrong, though?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it takes great faith to not believe. It takes great faith to believe. It takes great faith to even to believe in magic, it takes great faith. And this is one that hopefully, like, maybe connect people with their faith, or have them think about it. I don't know. Yeah. So
you can believe, you can not believe, or you can, like a lot of us do, I think you wind up living most of your life somewhere in the middle.
Right.
Who knows? Could all go boom tomorrow.
Que sera, sera.
Whatever will be, will be. Well, you heard the man. If you are in the Richmond area, if you can get to the Richmond area, I won't discourage you from taking a bit of a road trip. Go see Faustus, put on by Richmond Shakespeare at Agecroft Hall. Opening night is the 4th of July.
5th.
Preview
on the 4th.
Preview on
Opening on the 5th.
Opening night, official opening night is
Cheaper
the 5th.
tickets at preview night, so.
Good.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then it runs through...
The 21st. Thursday through Sunday.
Shows at 8 p.m.
8 p.m. And tickets are on sale at www.richmondshakespeare.org.
Beautiful. And yeah, thank you both so much for being here with me today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
This has been great.
Yeah.
And thank all of you so much for being here with us. I know this was a little bit of a change from our usual MO, but I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, if you can, this week, this month, this pay period, consider supporting a local theater troupe, because they could really use the love. Bye. Didn't Read It was created, written, recorded, and edited by me, Grace Todd. You can follow the show on Instagram or Twitter at Didn't Read It.
Our theme song is Books, written, performed, and recorded by William Albritton.
For sources cited and a full list of episodes, you can visit us at didn'treaditpod.com.
If you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving us a review. It makes a big difference, and we appreciate it immensely.
If you did not enjoy the show, we are accepting applications for a full-time nemesis at didn'treaditpod@gmail.com. Special thanks to Black Iris Social Club in Richmond, Virginia, and to Pesca Trio Publishing.